Greetings, beloved, and welcome back to another episode of yarn dyeing. I am going to retitle this playlist because I am not dyeing acrylic today. This is 100% cotton. This is regular peaches and cream cotton that was purchased at Walmart. Each one is around 4 yards and 4.5 grams. Teeny tiny little minis. And I will be using these dyes right here that you see. I will be using Ritz all-purpose dye liquid in the color indigo, Rit Dye More for synthetic dyes in the color sapphire blue, Dharma acid dyes in the color extreme blue, Dharma Fiber Active dye in the color Alpine Blue, and Jacquard Basic dye in Standard Blue. For the fixatives, I will be using distilled white vinegar. I will also be using Morton canning and pickling salt, no additives, not iodized. And I will be using soda ash. These 3 fixatives will be used for one of each of the 5 hanks with one of each of the 5 dyes. I will be soaking these overnight in their fixatives. There will be 5 soaked in vinegar, 5 soaked in salt, and 5 soaked in soda ash. They will soak at least overnight, and then I will use the water from their containers to soak them with. Each of these hanks have a different colored ring on them. For the clear ones will be soaked in vinegar, the black ones will be soaked in soda ash, and the white ones will be soaked in salt. That will be how I will differentiate, and plus after they are rinsed, I will put labels on them to indicate what type of dye was used, whether it was Rit Dye More, acid, fiber reactive, or basic. So this is my preparation, and I hope you enjoy this video. So I have 3 different tubs of water where the yarn has soaked overnight. Actually, it's getting close to 24 hours. Not sure if that matters. But in this one, there's 5 in each one. This one is using the pickling salt. This one is using white distilled vinegar, and this one is using the soda ash. As you can see, there are all black rings on the soda ash. There's all clear rings on the vinegar, and there are white rings on the salt. My goal here is to have bold colors with cotton yarn, and not all of these are going to work. So what I will do is I will individually put a little bit of water in here, and then I'll do the salt. Then I'll put a little bit more water in here, and then I'll do excuse me, the vinegar. Put a little bit of soda ash water in there and do the soda ash all with this, and then I'll do the same thing with each of these. So I'm not going to make you have to sit and endure all of that. So let me get all this done, and I will come right back after I've done all that. Oh, and did I mention I will microwave it? That's how I will heat set it. So yes, water, dye, yarn, nuke. And I'll be right back. Okay, I want to interject, and I thought it would be a smart idea to go ahead and label the jars, because you never know. I'm trying to keep them together, but it's easy to not. But this is after just the first heating. And what I'm doing is I'm heating on 50% power for 1 minute. Of course, this doesn't really tell us anything, but the first one is pretty much cooled off. It's slightly warm. So let me see how the last one is. Yeah, a lot warmer. So I'll run these through. I'll let you know how many times, because that could be an impact, a factor. Okay, so I just want to chime in with that before I continue. Also, as you see, all 5 jars are full. I went ahead and used all of the salt soaked yarn. Do all of that first. Then I'll go to the vinegar. Then I will go to the soda ash. I'm going to interject, show you this really nasty looking color. This is with the soda ash and the basic dye. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know if there's something that has counteracted, but it is like a dark brown. Yeah, you can see it there. It's like muddy looking. Ugh. So here we have the mostly dry. They're mostly dry. These right here are the soda ash ones. As you can see, this one right here in the basic dye did not work. That was the one with the brownish colored water. This one here is the fiber reactive dye, which is actually a pretty good tint, I think. And it's got a little bit of variation throughout, little spots. This one here is the acid dye, and again, acid, and again, pretty decent color, but not vibrant. We were shooting for vibrant. This is not decent. And I'd like to add that another variable to this is that I did not measure how much of the fixatives. There's a little spot right there. I did not measure the fixatives in these, so that's a very much of a variable. I'm sure that impacts. And plus the heat. A lot of those spots I'm thinking could be because of the heat. But this one here is the Rit Dye More. And this is a pretty good color here. This is pretty vibrant. Like I said, they're all different shades of blue, so we're not comparing each individual blue. But here is the regular Rit liquid dye. And all of this is in soda ash. So there's those. These are the vinegar ones. This one right here is basic. And notice how the ring has been colored as well. This basic dye will dye anything. It'll dye wood, it'll dye paper, I mean, pretty much anything. But yeah, this is with the vinegar. Vinegar does help with basic. And this is fiber reactive. Again, nice color. We got some speckles. I don't know if that's because of heat or if it's the dye, because it did it on the other one as well. But cute little speckles here and there, unexpected. Really the only thing that's the constants about this is they were all heat set in the microwave for the same amount of time. Other than that, lots of variables. The dye stock solution, the water to dye, I don't know, you know, that's a variable as well. But here's the ones in vinegar. But this is the acid dye. I'm sorry, we're still doing vinegar. Yeah, this is what the acid dye look like. I would like to have something more vibrant. Look at the ring on this one. The Rit Dye More dyed the ring as well. It was clear, now it's pretty blue. And the regular dye, the all-purpose. Compare the two. It's a very different, I mean, yeah, they're different colors, but very different boldness. And the salt. This is the basic. And pretty decent color throughout. Now this is the fiber reactive. Look how bright and bold that is. But fiber reactive, once again, got the speckles in it. So it could be the dye. Not sure. I always made sure I mixed them up really good. I stirred them and I shook them. So could be the dye. Here is the acid dye. And again, acid dye just did not dye the cotton yarn. Speckles in that one as well. Not sure why. It's cool looking though. Who doesn't love a couple of speckles? Here is the dye more. And pretty much looks the same as the others. I mean, there's a little bit of a variation between the dye mores, but it seems like these, the regular Ritz, are pretty much the same throughout. So here's the result in the order, well, sort of in the order. The first one of the white, this is the regular Rit, the general all-purpose. This is the Rit Dye More. This is acid. This is fiber reactive, and this is basic. These are the ones soaked in the salt water. This is Rit. These are all soda ash. This is regular Rit. This is Rit Dye More. Fiber or acid, fiber reactive, and basic. Same for here. Rit Dye More. Acid, fiber reactive, and basic. So they're all different shades of blue. So we're not comparing the shades. What we are actually comparing here would be, we would compare the regular Rit soaked in salt with the regular Rit soaked in soda ash with the regular Rit soaked in vinegar. And hold on, let me rearrange these. So here I have arranged them by dyes so that we can compare the colors. The first is salt, second is soda ash, third is vinegar. And both on the camera here and in real life, I can see that all three of these, with the regular Rit dye, general all-purpose dye, is all the same. I do not see any variations, any tonal changes. They all look identical with Rit dye. This one is Rit Dye More. And unfortunately, it's not showing up on the camera, but the one with the soda ash is actually a little bit darker, and the one in vinegar is like a different shade. It's almost as if this is almost as dark as the regular. Of course, they are totally different colors. You know, we're not comparing the blues to the other blues. We're only comparing the blues. That's maybe in another, if that's possible, video. But for now, this is how we're doing it. And this one's a little bit lighter. This one's darker. This one's like a bluish purple. So not much of a difference. The video, it looks like they're the same, but they're not. Not much of a difference, but a slight difference. However, when we get to the acid dyes, as you can see, these are, if I'm wrong on this, I'll correct myself on the screen, but I'm pretty sure this was using extreme blue. And as you can see, it is baby blue. So acid dyes do not dye cotton yarn, or at least not to the extent that you would like it to. And plus, like I noted before, there's little specks in here of blue. That almost looks like a shadow, but it's not. It's a speck of blue right there. And they are different hues, different shades. I thought it was kind of showy. Okay, yeah, you can see now on the close-up. I've noticed too, sometimes I'll take a video and it shows up true to color in the final video, and it just looks different, you know, on here on my phone. So these are the 3 acid dyes, which I'm pretty sure was extreme blue, but if not, like I said, I will have already corrected myself. Now, this is the Fiber Reactive. And this was the one, my theory was that the Soda Ash Fiber Reactive would be the best dye option. However, you know, I'd almost have to, I'm not sure which one of these shades are the correct Celadon, I think is what I used. If not, I'll put it on the screen. Let me move these out of the way. But I was actually expecting this one right here, which is black, is for Soda Ash. I was expecting that to be the best result. However, I am seeing much brighter, bolder color in the salt, and I'm using this for something else, so I had to take that out. But this was the salt, one that's soaked in salt, and I think it's gorgeous. So perhaps Soda Ash isn't the best option for dyeing cotton in Fiber Reactive dye. And then of course we have our basic dyes, the ones that we've already found works great for acrylic. And isn't that interesting? Like I showed earlier, it's like a plum. The Soda Ash with the basic, I don't know if it's a chemical imbalance, or what this is, but that color is really strange. And of course, the salt is like a navy blue. And the vinegar, I think this is probably the best one to use with the basic dye, because that looks like a appropriate, you know, correct color for blue. This is just a standard blue, no other name but blue. So all in all, I think vinegar is the one to use with basic dyes. I think salt, and I used uniodized natural canning or pickling salt. I think that would be the best option for Fiber Reactive dye. Do not attempt to dye cotton with acid dye unless you want a light shade. So, no. And like, you know, I'm not really sure. All 3 of these, the Rit Dymore, are bold colors, and there's no variegation within each skein. Let me focus just on these. So I would say any of the 3. If you're using Rit Dymore, salt, Soda Ash, vinegar, doesn't matter. And I feel the same about the regular Rit, that it will dye cotton with no problem, no matter which you choose to as a fixative. Perhaps even none would work. But that is my conclusion for this project, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I have just decided that I will be doing this experiment again with acrylic yarn. So be watching for that. Thanks for watching.